Hey everyone, this is Mo Twister, and you're listening to the Kingdom Podcast with the voice DJ Yuki.
That was the OG, Mo Twister, promoting this podcast. If you like Korean pop culture, or know someone who does, then get into it, and visit our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram pages at the Kingdom Pod PH.
We're proud to tell you that this is one of the premier shows to go to for your weekly dose of K-pop. So drop everything and listen to the Kingdom Podcast. Available in all your podcast streaming platforms.
Join us!
If you like this episode, please rate the podcast 5 stars, 6 and take your dome. This podcast is a member of Bun Collective.
Welcome to your unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast. And this is the MTG Show Podcast, a wrestling podcast. It's Friday. You know what that means. Welcome to your unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast. And this is the MTG Show Podcast, a wrestling podcast. Okay, for this week's episode of the podcast, di naman ito sobrang laki, no? This is gonna be huge for some people kasi we're going to talk about everything what happened during second Triple H second week as creative head, or yung tinatawag kong CH kasi mas madali. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who is listening on this podcast on this very special episode of the pod. So, for today's episode rather, we are going to talk about everything what happened the past week. So, this is kind of short kasi we are going to stick with WWE talk here and AEW talk here and some talk from the Bash thing. Kasi mag-update tayo today on the podcast. So, let's do this, okay? Straight up na tayo, okay? Talk na tayo. Wala na tayong shit. Let's talk about the Women's Tag Team Title Tournament. First thing, alam niyo, dami ko nang ginawang commentary about this. And now, we're getting a tournament for the Women's Tag Team Titles. Palakpakan at WWE, of course. Sabi ko sa inyo matuto kayong mag-antay Pero we're waited for so long. We waited for so long for this tournament. Parang pinapatayin niyo pa yung momentum ni Vince. Si Vince, di pa namamatay yung momentum niya. But yet, you're doing yourselves an idiots. But I wish, sana naman change na yon under Triple H era. But ito, let's talk about the tournament straight up, okay? So, marami tayong pag-uusapan. Pero ito, importante ito. The Women's Tag Team Titles was vacated last June during the issues between Sasha and Naomi. Then, ito na nga. They're going to have a tournament. Hindi pa natin alam kung kailan magko-culminate ito. So, the participants are the 24/7 champion Dana Brooke, former 24/7 champion Tamina, Io Sky, former NXT Women's Champion, and as well as NXT Tag Team Champion, Dakota Kai, or Io Sky pala. Io Sky and Dakota Kai, former NXT Women's Tag Team Champion as well. Alexa Bliss and Asuka, former NXT, hindi pala, former WWE Women's Champions in their respective. Nikki ASH, former Raw Women's Champion, Doudrop as well, former 24/7 champion. Raquel Rodriguez, former 24, former NXT Women's Champion and NXT Women's Tag Team Champion. Aliyah, the shortest match woman in WWE history. Xia Li, Shotzi, former NXT Women's Tag Team Champion. Nikita Lyons, Zoe Stark, former NXT Women's Tag Team Champion. Natalia, former SmackDown Women's Champion and Tag Team Champion. And Sonya Deville, former WWE official. So, the brackets is now updated. In-announce ng WWE there will be more matches on SmackDown tomorrow and Raw on Monday, Tuesday. So, Io Sky and Dakota, nag-proceed na sila doon sa tournament. The match for next Monday Raw is Alexa Bliss and Asuka versus Nikki ASH and Doudrop. Then, sa SmackDown naman tomorrow is Raquel Rodriguez and Aliyah versus Xia Li and Shotzi. So, for sure, ang magpuproceed dito yung faces, most likely. Sila Raquel and Aliyah. No? Then, sa baba, probably Nikki ASH and Doudrop. We're not sure yet kung kailan gaganapin ang finals kasi feeling ko aabot to ng Clash at the Castle. Pero, let's see kung ano pa yung pwede mangyari. Sa babang bracket nung right bracket, feeling ko naman ang pwedeng manalo dito is actually malabong Nikita and Zoe. Pero mas malabong manalo sila Natalia at Sonya. Pero kung sino man manalo, okay lang sa akin. As long as it's Io and Dakota or Nikki Doudrop, wala problema sa akin. Ewan ko sa inyo kung sino ba yung gusto nyong winner for this year's Women's Tag Team Title Tournament. But sana, mas gusto ko sila talaga, Nikki ASH and Doudrop. Kasi number one, that's a hometown match for sure. It's gonna be a pretty good contest naman. Pero let's see. There's a lot of happenings pa. Then, pag-uusapan din natin yung storyline about Io Dakota, Alexa, Lexi and Asuka. Then, yung kasama pa si Bianca and Bayley. Then, straight up na tayo, okay? Let's continue to SmackDown. So, let's talk about Nakamura and Ganta. So, Nakamura will challenge Ganta for the Intercontinental Championship tomorrow on SmackDown. Hindi ako nag-expect ng title change, but it's gonna be a pretty good match. No? Hindi ako nag-expect ng magandang laban. It's more than a good match or a very good matchup na maasahan natin tomorrow on SmackDown. Hindi rin ako nag-expect masyado kasi pero since Triple H is now the head of creative, kailangan na natin mag-expect masyado. Parang it's gonna be a pretty good match and Gunther is definitely retaining his belt. Ewan ko kung sino pa yung pwede maging challenger pero whoever steps to the ring with Ganta at Clash at the Castle, please defend this belt. Man. Sana naman ipa-defend ng WWE yung belt ni Ganta sa NXT or sa Clash at the Castle. Okay. Then, let's talk about Shayna Baszler. So, Shayna Baszler won a gauntlet to earn a title shot at Clash at the Castle versus Liv Morgan. So, that's a gauntlet thing. Liv Morgan is injured due to the armbar by Ronda Rousey noong SummerSlam and kailangan niya mag-recover doon. So, sinabi ni Shayna after nun is kailangan na daw niya maghanda ng straw o yan, ng soup on a straw kasi baka daw mamasak. But may feeling ako dito na mananalo si Shayna, Triple H guy yan. Pero feeling ko naman, since over pa si Liv, feeling ko mananalo pa si Liv. Pero let's see. Marami pang pwede mangyari. So, the most important headline from this week's SmackDown was Karrion Kross' return on WWE. So, Drew is coming to the ring, walking out like a badass that like you should be. Then, magkukompronte dapat si Roman Reigns for their match at Clash at the Castle. Then, here comes Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Karrion is attacked. Fuck. Karrion Kross attacking Drew McIntyre. So, according to some sources, hindi sinabi ito ng Fightful or ni SRS na inyong source. According kay SRS, baka ito na yung sign to split the titles eh. Ito na yung parang sinasabi nila na possible dito na mas-split yung NXT, yung undisputed WWE titles ni Roman. Wala naman silang pakialam sa magiging outcome ng Clash at the Castle. Na hindi naman natin ina-expect na mananalo si Drew. But I wish Drew should win. Na? Kahit naman sino may gusto na manalo si Drew, everyone wants Drew to win at this point. Pero diba? Pero it's a plus. Pero like what I said, hindi ako nag-expect na mananalo si Drew. Ang malinaw lang sa akin, gusto ko sana ma-split na yung belts. Kasi like, the walk of shame is over, man. Please split the belts. We're done of this bullshit. Tribal chief, martial law, something. We're done. Like, tangina, we're done. Tapos na tayo dyan sa kaputahan na yan, man. Hindi na natin kailangan ng ganitong martial law ni Roman appearing like once a month. Like, holy shit. We don't need a champion like that. Like, putangina, we need a new champion here in WWE. So, ganun. Bila? If si USA Network naman, on the other hand, si USA Network gusto na rin ma-split yung belts, ano? According kay USA Network, si USA gusto ng gusto ng world champion sa Raw. Eh dahil nga daw hindi naman nag-a-appear si Roman sa brand. Ina-expect ng USA Network na mag-a-appear si Roman weekly. So that's why nag-unify sila doon sa ideya na dapat i-unify yung belts formally lang, pero hindi yung part of the history. Nag-expect ang WWE ay si USA na pag pinagsama nila yung belts, magiging dominant champion si Roman plus makakapag-appear siya weekly. Eh ang nangyari, nag-appear si Roman July na after WrestleMania. Sino maiinis doon? Sino hindi maiinis doon, men? Diba? Diyos ko. Akala nyo siya iniisip nyo, nagmumukhang special attraction si Roman. Pero hindi eh. Nagmukhang gago yung booking ng WWE. They're just messing everything up at this point. And actually, we don't know what's happening except on that part. I'm glad Triple H took over the creative side. So medyo makikita na natin siya weekly. Magkakaalaman tayo if Triple H is now on the creative side, malamang sa malamang, weekly na to, most likely. Eh, usos nga laging ang lalabas eh. Paano pa si Roman? Diba? Eh, syempre, top champion yan ng Raw at SmackDown. So sa malamang, kailangan talaga mag-appear ni Roman dito. Kasi most likely, if he didn't, baka magbago na naman ang direction ng USA. Diba? Yan ang gusto ng USA eh, na mindset. If gusto nila na they want a world champion, sana naman ibigay na lang nila kay Drew or kay Kross. Kaya naman sino? Fair na sa akin yun. Kahit Karrion Kross or Drew, as long as Roman is no longer the champion and doing this martial law bullshitting, it's okay. It's okay with me. Awan ko, sa akin okay lang yun. Ewan ko sa iba kung okay sa kanila. I'm going to ask everyone nga, before we go to our next topic, okay ba sa inyo na champion na si champion pa rin si Roman pero isa na lang yung belt niya until next year? Kasi ako, ewan ko. Kayo, tatanungin ko kayo, please use our platforms naman at TMT Show Pod. If you guys want to see Roman Reigns walking out of WrestleMania 39 SoFi Stadium still the undisputed champion, kasi we don't want to. If Cody's still around, definitely he is the perfect guy for that. But Cody's not around. Seth Rollins is definitely not the guy to do that. Riddle is definitely not the guy to do that. The Rock is definitely not the guy to do that. Drew McIntyre, medyo 50-50 tayo for that. Karrion Kross, medyo 50-50 tayo for that. Montesport, darating tayo dyan sa part na yan. Pero we don't need to put him out of the picture muna. For now, we are going to talk about more important things. Yung current. Siyempre, there's Drew, there's Seth, there's Theory. Kailangan nyo rin atupagin. Then, Drew. I said Drew twice. But yeah, regardless, marami pang atupagin na trabaho ang WWE when it comes to the word title picture. Let's move on. Let's talk about Dexter Lumis now. So, Dexter Lumis made his WWE return after few months of after the release actually. Ewan ko kung ewan ko notice nyo mga nangyari nung Raw. Kasi there's a lot of gags, no? Yung crash backstage. Yan na yun eh. I think he is the guy for that eh. On the end of Raw, while AJ Styles is celebrating his win over The Miz, ayun eh, pinapakita na nga si Dexter eh. And that's his gimmick. Binalik lang nila yung gimmick na medyo patago and hindi rin yung magkasalita. And definitely, that's a perfect gimmick for him, in my opinion. And aside from that, nakikita rin natin sa WWE yung pagkikliphhanger nila lately. Remember the ending 2 weeks ago? That's a good ending. This week on Raw, we have Dexter Lumis on the ending of Raw, and it's fantastic. We got the SmackDown ending, we got Karrion Kross, and the end of Raw. So it's fantastic. What's next? According to Fightful Select, they want Braun Strowman to back on the company. They want 2 members of Heatwave back in the company. Definitely not Swerve, kasi si Swerve is the tag champion in AEW. So, malamang sa malamang negative yun. Pero, marami pa tayong kailangang pag-usapan. Ano? So, Dexter Lumis, marami tayong ma-explain soon. No? So, for now, di ko muna si Dexter. Para sa akin, maganda yung appearance niya. Sobrang random, but super effective. Since, on-the-spot appearance siya. And, cliffhanger siya eh. Parang aabangan mo talaga next week kung ano yung magiging happenings after of that appearance. So, it's impressive. Diba? Then, let's continue with Finn Balor versus Rey Mysterio. That was a fantastic match in my point of view. So, eto na rin, nagkaroon na rin ng signs for a Dominic Mysterio heel turn. So, finally, well done. Para sa akin, well done yun. Kasi they're teasing him for weeks. And now we're finally getting up a ending like that. And finally, nakukuha na rin natin yung ending that we wanted to for Dominic Mysterio, of course. Then, ano pa ba? Mga random matches. Let's talk about Lashley Ciampa muna. Lashley Ciampa, in my point of view, is a really good match for the US title. Para sa akin, sobrang ganda. I was impressed by Ciampa's performance. Ang dami din tinis dito, especially DIY. Corey Graves on the commentary, teasing it a lot about DIY. And for me, hindi rin malabo mangyari na hindi bumalik si Gargano sa WWE. But we need to see him back. Like, seriously. We need Ciampa back in WWE. We need Gargano back in WWE. And definitely, everyone wants to see him back in the company. Like, holy fuck. Ay, fuck. Tanggal ko yung ano ko. Sorry. I have to do that again. But, regardless, it's the stuff eh. We need to see Gargano back in WWE. Eh, ganun lang naman. If Gargano is still the guy for that occasion, then bring it. Bring it on the table. You can naman, di ba? Ayun. So, let's continue with the two matches that I love pa from this week's Raw. So, Ciampa and Dolph Ziggler. Chad Gable. Chad Gable and Dolph Ziggler. I know this is a random match, but regardless, I love this match because this is more on a wrestling match to me rather than a short match. But it is a fantastic short match for yours truly. Then, AJ Styles versus The Miz in a no DQ. Like what I said earlier, regardless on the match happening, regardless on the ending happened, this was a fantastic matchup. Like, holy fuck. Hindi ko akalain na AJ Styles is still doing matches like this. And it's still fantastic. It's still phenomenal, right? And props to The Miz, of course. The Miz will always be the guy that I should respect. And everyone should respect. Like, holy fucking shit. The Miz definitely deserved the respect that you guys didn't giving him off. Diba? Tapos, pag-uusapan pa natin, yung performance niya from the build of the feud versus Logan Paul to this match, still deserving. I love this Miz. Definitely, this Miz definitely deserves praise. Diba? Ayun. So basically, yun lang ang Raw and SmackDown natin for this week's episode of the podcast. We are going to take our first commercial break on this week's episode of the podcast. But first, let me remind you of something. Let me introduce myself. So welcome to the show. And ayun, so if you want to support the podcast on Lazada, especially on this upcoming sale on Lazada, you can use my link on the description below, podlink.co/6gs. Again, that's podlink.co/6gs. Ayun, so it's gonna be a long run on the podcast. If you want to support it, support. And it's gonna be a long run for you guys and for everyone here on the podcast. Ayun. So, ayun, before we go to our commercial break, i-dedicate ko tong commercial na to for Cripsilog since gusto ko i-acknowledge yung episode nila about Chris Benoit na tinakal nila sa latest episode of Cripsilog. So, kung gusto niyo pakinggan yung Cripsilog episode na yun, they're talked about Chris Benoit's death and many more. So, ito yun is athletes, 3 athletes yung pinag-usapan nila. I love the Chris Benoit part. If you're into pro wrestling, you should listen to the episode of Cripsilog only on Spotify. And for now, let's check our bunkmates here on Bunk Collective.
Picture this. 2 guys talking about true crime,
Weird mysteries.
horror stories,
But the conversation is light.
and mostly funny.
And sometimes naughty.
This is Cripsilog.
A Spotify exclusive.
I'm Gideon.
And I'm Glenn, and we're serving huge portions of horror and true crime twice a week.
We'll make sure your cravings are satisfied.
And you'll be begging for more.
Char.
Check us out.
This is Cripsilog, available exclusively on Spotify.
Bakit mabaho ang utot?
Lulubog na ba ang Pilipinas?
Mahihain ba ang makaya?
Bakit bumabagyo sa Pinas?
Mga katanungang bumabagabag sa kaisipan ni Juan, halika, bigyan natin ng mga scientificong kasagutan. Ito ang inyong gurong lakan mula sa Bulacan, Sir Red. At ito ang Hainayan na Tagham the Podcast Year 2. Pakinggan sa lahat ng major podcast streaming platforms. Tara, matuto, magsaliksik, magkaroon ng dagdag na kaalaman. Hainayan, magpakailanman.
Okay. So, we're back. Again, ayun. So, pa-plug ulit natin yung sa Cripsilog. So, nag-drop ang Cripsilog recently ng episode about 3 athletes na medyo hindi kagandahan yung naging death. Especially, they talked about Chris Benoit's history and of course, the double murder death happened on that day on Chris Benoit and his family. TW murder, TW suicide. So, just a reminder, if hindi medyo magaan ang iyong loob, pag napakinggan yung episode, medyo ano siya, medyo tawag dito. Ano bang proper term nun? Medyo nakakasuya pa. I'm not sure, pero it's kinda like that. Pero, if you're into horror and everything related horror, you can listen to Cripsilog, a Spotify exclusive podcast na part ng Bank Collective. You can listen to the podcast only on Spotify. But regardless, let's do our NXT review. But NXT, we're going to do AEW first. Let's go to the most important part of the episode. Let's talk about the CM Punk return. So CM Punk made his AEW return few months after of his absence. So after the save kay Moxley, thanks to GAS finally. And ayun, nag-face up si CM Punk and si Jon Moxley. They're signing for a feud between Punk and Moxley to determine the undisputed AEW champion at All Out. Pero hindi pa nila yun in-announce noong araw na yun eh. Hindi pa nila yun in-announce for All Out. So malamang probably sa Friday i-announce na nila yun. Pero let's see kung ano pa yung pwede mangyari. In the build-up, 4 weeks pa naman ang build-up to All Out. Then, let's talk about the match before that. So, Jericho and Moxley, I kinda hate that it's kinda short than I expected. It's kinda 15-20 minute match. It's okay para sa akin, pero yung nakakainis sa part dito is yung pinapasok pa rin yung JS tsaka yung Blackpool dito. It's not all about them, man. The feud is over. What's going on here? It's all about Jericho and Mox. Like, for fuck's sake, we're done of this garbage feud. Holy. We're tired of this shit. Like, holy hell. We're done, man. I'm tired of this shit. Everyone is tired of this shit. Everyone is motherfucking tired of this shit. But yet again, you guys are throwing shit. Sana naman walang match sa All Out na it features the JS and BCC fighting each other. Except for next week's match between Daniel Garcia and Bryan Danielson. But this time it's a 2 out of 3 falls. But yeah, let's see what's going to happen next week. Okay, let's continue with Darby Allin versus Brody King in a casket match or coffin match. So, masabi ko, sakto lang. It was a fantastic match in my opinion. Wala pang 5 minutes. Brody King is already bleeding. It's kind of weird. But it is what it is. It's a pretty good match. I love it. Pero, medyo nababawan ako sa mga nangyari. It's a typical Stings to save. Hindi ako sanay sa ganun. Parang it's kind of bullshit to me. Parang ang pangit. But yeah, it is what it is. Sobrang labo ng ending sa akin. And, ayun, it's a pretty good matchup, pero it's kind of weird. Yun lang. So, let's continue with the AEW Trios Tag Team Title Tournament. So, it's gonna be a new tournament for the belts. Na ang finals ito ay All Out September sa Chicago na naman. Putang ina. Kaya lagi kong pinupuni bakit nag-back to back kayo sa Chicago? Like, holy shit. Chicago na naman? Seryoso, naglalakad ba tayo dito? Gago. Chicago ka na Chicago. And the only thing that I remember about Chicago right now is CM Punk. To be honest, it's CM Punk. CM Punk is the only guy about Chicago right now. Di ba? At this point, sobrang nakakainis eh. May daming states sa US, but yet you're choosing Chicago, fucking Illinois. Holy shit. We know that Forbidden Door is a partnership, but it's still motherfucking Chicago. Like, holy shit. Ang dami-daming country. Gusto niya yung Chicago na naman. Okay. Sorry, I have to throw shit on that, but I save ko yun for the next other stuff. Probably sa review na lang or sa episode na lang about All Out. Okay. Here's the tournament bracket. So, Death Triangle versus Will Ospreay and OC Open. Then, the other half of the left bracket is Andrade, Rush, and Dragon Lee versus Young Bucks and Mystery Partner. So, it's obviously Kenny Omega. Pero what if? What if may plot twist? Pero hindi pa tayo sure. Pero I'm sure this is Kenny Omega. And patungo tayo sa Agos na Bucks is turning face, Kenny is turning face as well at this point. Let's see. There's a lot of possibilities about this. Kasi, there's a lot of stuff going on. Dark Order, nireject ni Hangman yung offer ng Young Bucks. So, definitely, sama siya sa Dark Order sa babang bracket. So, let's see. Ano pa yung pwedeng mangyari about this Tag Trios tournament? Okay? So, on the other side of the bracket, there's House of Black, Dark Order, 1-on-1 then, tag match. Then, Trustbusters and ROH Stable versus Best Friends. So, that's the bracket. Wala pang matches na in-announce aside on sa Andrade, Rush, and Dragon Lee versus Young Bucks and the question mark. It's obvious. It's obvious Kenny Omega. At this point, feeling ko Bucks and Omega na yung mananalo dito sa tournament. But please let me know what's your predictions for the AEW tournament on our podcast platforms, okay? So, let's continue with Jade Cargill versus Madison Rayne, okay? So, okay, it's a pretty good match. It kind of turns me off every time Jade is competing on TV. It's kind of shit to me. Ewan ko, pero sobrang every time I see Jade Cargill, it makes me irritate. It makes me sick to my stomach. It's a pretty good match, but Jade Cargill, man. No one gives a fuck about this woman at this point, except for somebody. No one gives a fuck about this at this point. No one gives a fuck about this thing at this point. Please give us something new. Give us something fresh, di ba? Sayang nga si Chris Statlander sana yung makakatalo sa kanya. Pero mukhang negative na yun. Hindi rin si Chris Stat yung makakatalo kay Thunder, for sure. Hell, malabo yun. And let's see what's going on pa. Kung ano pa yung pwede mangyari, di ba? Let's go to NXT. So, rounds match. It's gonna be a rounds match for... may rounds match pala, no? NXT Tuesday. So, for me, it's a pretty good rounds match. Kinda reminds me of the British rounds rule or the British rules noon sa NXT UK. It's almost the same, but ang weird to see Trent tuloy. So, it's weird to see Trick Williams and si Wesley wearing boxing gear and gloves. Like, holy fuck. Who fucking hell? Sinong magsusot ng ganun? Aside sa fact na you're not a fucking wrestler. I know, you're not a motherfucking boxer. This makes me cringe. And it's I kind of understand if you're Floyd Mayweather. If kung nagkukumpit pa si Floyd Mayweather sa WWE, maintindihan ko that's why he wear his gear, boxing gear. But this one, it doesn't make sense. But okay, it's a pretty good rounds match. Plus, after a match, Benny Vinci made this appearance to challenge the champion Carmelo Hayes in a match at NXT Heatwave. Sa third half natin pag-uusapan yung event. No? So, yeah. It's a pretty good matchup regardless. And, yeah. So, it's solid. Then, so, nagkaroon nga ng final accord between Santos Escobar and Tony D'Angelo. So, there's a lot of stuff going on in Legado's side and Tony D'Angelo's family. We're not going to discuss a lot kasi di-discuss natin yun sa andun na rin sa third half yung magiging discussion natin about this. Although I love this feud, I'm not going to say a lot about this, but this is the feud definitely in NXT that you should look forward and definitely a good feud to watch in NXT 2.0. Okay? So, then let's talk about Zoe Stark and Cora Jade main eventing NXT. Not bad. It's a weak match. Okay lang sa akin. It's kind of average. Not your... If you're seeing NXT before, it's kind of weak. No? Pero okay lang siya. It's a part of the build-up going NXT hit. But, yeah. It's just a basic hype for the next week's show. And it was a fantastic match regardless. It was not the best match, but the match that we're expecting from Cora and Zoe Stark. But regardless, it's a pretty good match. Yun, basically yun lang for NXT. Singito natin yung Battle of the Belts na nangyari nung Sunday, Manila time. I love the Claudio Castagnoli, and Konosuke Takeshita match from the main event of Battle of the Belts. The rest too, we don't need to talk about that. Fuck those matches. Okay, we're going to take our next commercial break. But first, let's check our, wait lang. Please use our link on Shopee since malapit na nga ang payday sale on August 15. So if you want to support the podcast on Shopee, you can use our affiliate link sa Shopee podlink.co/bhx. You can use our link TR as well. Access na yon. Papunta na yun sa Shopee app. And you can help and support the podcast without no extra cost. So, we're going to take our second commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about NXT Heatwave and our picks of the week. So, we're going to take our break. And let's check our bunkmates here on Bunk Collective.
I loved you then, I love you now, and I will continue loving you until I can no longer.
You took a part of me until I had nothing left.
The old me had to die so the new me could be reborn.
I didn't deserve that pain. I deserve love, just not from her.
Today, I choose myself.
I wanted to tell you, but you weren't there.
These are the stories that I wish you heard. Streaming weekly episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts.
Get in, loser. We're going shopping.
I can't. I'm sick.
Weh, yung tataa.
Boo, you whore. Lockdown pa rin.
Huh? 2021 na.
So, anong gagawin natin?
Di, magstay na lang sa house at makinig sa Astrology, the podcast. With new episodes every Tuesday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts.
Okay, let's continue for our NXT Heatwave predictions. First, let's talk about the Tony D'Angelo versus Santos Escobar feud in a street fight. So, it's Santos Escobar wins. Legado is free from the familia. If Tony D'Angelo wins, Santos Escobar will be banned from NXT 2.0. personally, Santos needs the win since revenge ito. But may feeling din ako na baka ma-promote na si Santos papuntang main roster. Pero in my opinion naman, Santos needs the stable more than Tony D. Di naman kailangan ni Tony D yung stable since makarisma rin siya eh. Sobrang ganda ng charisma ni Tony D'Angelo. Like, it doesn't need the stable para maging over siya. Si Santos, he needs the stable at because is not the best wrestler. It's more on eccentric na eh. Parang sanay na yung tao with Santos Escobar being with Legado. Ewan ko, ang feeling ko lang, baka si Elektra Lopez, baka siya yung mag-turn kay Santos. Possible yun. Feeling ko siya yung mag-turn dito. Kung may turn dito, it's Elektra most likely. Or maybe yun, Elektra turning on Santos or Tony D vice versa. Pero feeling ko ganun ang possible outcome for NXT Heatwave match on this match in general. No? Pero regardless, for sure, it's gonna be a pretty good match since maganda yung build, may justice dito eh. I love the justice that those two gave on this feud personally. Gusto ko yung justice na binigay nila dito sa match na to. And parang pinanindigan nila na they're doing their best on this feud. Like, holy shit. This is a feud you should look forward that parang pinapamukha nila sa inyo na dapat panoorin nyo itong feud kasi sobrang ganda ng execution namin. Sounds like that. Then, let's talk about the title. Di mo na pala. So, Cora Jade versus Roxanne Perez. Walang stick. So, para sa akin lang, this is a must win for Cora. Since start pa lang naman to ng feud, mukhang buburuhin pa nila to. And they are going to let Cora build her momentum pa. And Roxanne, wala namang kawalan kay Roxanne yun since nag-uumpisa pa lang din siya sa momentum niya on their feud versus Cora. But I think Cora needs the win para lang makabawi sa talo niya versus Zoe Stark. But yeah, Cora Jade. Then let's talk about the title matches now. Carmelo Hayes versus Giovanni Vinci. I don't know, but we need a new NXT North American champion at this point. We need Carmelo on the main roster now. Sana hindi baguhin yung style niya because I love his style so much. Sana hindi nila baguhin yon pag na-promote na siya sa main roster. But yun, we want new champion here. So I think Giovanni needs the title more than Melo. Okay? But if si Melo mananalo, di rin ako magagalit kasi Melo is a fantastic champion. Then, Mandy Rose versus Zoe Stark for the NXT Women's Tag Team Champion. For Women's title. NXT Women's title. For me, okay lang. Okay lang if Mandy wins. Pero I'm going to expect a Mandy win here. Mandy definitely wins this one. But matutuwa rin ako if Zoe wins. Yeah. Finally, the main event of next week's NXT Heatwave. Braun Breaker versus JD McDonough for the NXT Championship. I must say it's a match that you should look forward. Pero to treat Braun Breaker like he's a main attraction na parang Roman Reigns equal. I don't think he is on that level. No? I don't think na nasa level siya na ganyan. Hell no. They're treating him like Roman Reigns. Like, it's kinda, cringe. And dapat since he is a beginner pa lang, parang hindi pa siya yung sobrang established, dapat pinapakita talaga siya sa TV at least in the ring weekly o kaya 2 weeks after. Ganun dapat. Pero hindi pa ako sanay sa gantong style nila kay Braun. But the prediction, it's definitely Braun. Braun to para sa akin. Braun Breaker needs to win. Yeah. So, yeah, that's my predictions for NXT Heatwave. let me know your predictions on the podcast platform. So, bago tayo lumayo-layo, yung ating tournament, ipapost siya sa social media ng podcast, probably sa Twitter lang muna. Ayun, ipapost yung tournament bracket doon for our match of the year things dito sa Bash Awards. And then, ayun, mag-continue lahat yon until November at isasalang natin yun for our finals sa voting natin after of Survivor Series weekend. So, yeah, konting plugs na lang before we go. So, ayun, ulitin ko yung sa Cripsolog. Please listen to Cripsolog's latest episode talking about Chris Benoit and other athletes na medyo crucial yung mga nangyari sa kanilang deaths. So, if you're into Spotify video din, naka-video yung episode na yun on Spotify. Cripsolog, a Spotify exclusive podcast which is available exclusively on Spotify. Please listen to the episode. And also available on Spotify and other podcast platforms. Please listen to our episode of Kayfabe Cafe. So, nag-appear ako doon as a guest. We talk about the main event of Road to Fate, MWF Road to Fate, our possible preds for Road to Fate event on September 11, which is almost sold out now according sa MWF. So, we're going to plug the Road to Fate. Road to Fate will take place on September 11 at the Pita Theater in Quezon City. So, it's a fatal four-way. Jake De Leon versus Nigel San Jose versus Crystal versus Fabio Makisig. It's a fatal four-way elimination rules match for the vacant NXT for the vacant MWF Championship. So, if you want to buy your tickets, please check MWF's official website, manilawrestling.com or sa ticket to me. Tama ba? I'm not sure. Basta you should check MWF social media for more details, manilawrestling.com for more details. So, meron din tayong content dito probably soon sa related sa MWF Road to Fate. We're going to talk about that. Pag-uusapan lang namin nung 4 na stars. I-invite ko sila dito sa show. Probably. Jake, si Crystal, si Nigel, si Fabs. So, yun. Dapat abangan. Maraming kayong dapat abangan dito sa MTA Show. For the meantime, you should check our links on the description below. All of our stuff here on Bunk Collective. You should check our link tr.ee/TheMTGSHOWPod. You should check our link tr. Again, ulitin ko siya. Link tr.ee/TheMTGSHOWPodcast. You should check our social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and on TikTok at the MTG Show Pod. Yes, this podcast is under Bunk Collective. So please check our podcasts on thebunkph.com. Please follow us on social media at thebunkph and join our Discord community at dsc.gg/bunk. Don't forget our picks of the week. So our picks of the week is the superstar of the week is Ciampa. The woman is 2KC since the definitely deserving the win from last week's Fatal 4-Way elimination match for the women's tag titles. And the match of the week is Claudio Castagnoli versus Konosuke Takeshita from Battle of the Belts. Pretty good match. Solid. Please watch it. Then, please check our social media at AG Penera on Twitter and Instagram. Please listen to the podcast every Fridays on your favorite on your favorite podcast platform. So, and on the podcast app always. Then, ayun. So, thank you to Yuki, DJ Yuki, for everything that is doing here on the podcast as the producer of this show. And yeah, that's it for our episode number 118 in cooperation with Bunk Collective. Stay safe, stay Russell, and see you on the next episode. Good night.